Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Mustache MMA, and welcome to episode 3 of Best Bets, Hermansson versus Strickland. I'm going to go through each of the bouts on this card and kind of dissect the bets that are available on the books and look for value and look for bets that I like. And if I like any of them, I'm going to make them an official play, and we're going to mark it on the books. Yeah. Before I get started with this card, though, I just want to quick show the results from the last card, UFC 270, Ngannou versus Gane. Also, you'll see my January results up there. Went 0 for 2 on those cards, going negative units in both. Although, I was close to even at the very least for being negative, but still in the red, so not where I want to be. Went 7 of 20 for a net of minus 2.13 units. The last card, UFC 270, I went 4 of 11 for a net of minus 1.13 units. As you can see, you can see my wins there. Della Maddalena knockout. That one was nice and quick. Pereira, unanimous decision. Moreno, Figueiredo to start round 4. And that half unit play on Figueiredo by decision at plus 500 was really huge. That really saved the day and really limited the damage for the bets on this card. All the other ones you can see there were losses. Anyway, yeah, January, wasn't the greatest, but, could have been worse. So looking ahead and looking positive for February, and I think I'm going to have a really nice, clean February, and show some green. And then overall my 2022 results by the end of February will also be green. So let's get into the first card and the first fight in February. Malcolm Gordon versus Denis Bondor. So, I'm not going to break down these fights too much just to kind of save on time. If you do want to see my breakdowns, I have the breakdown video that I do earlier in the week where I break down each of these fights a little bit more in depth. But I kind of give the edge to Bondor here almost everywhere. He definitely has a big wrestling advantage. Maybe Malcolm Gordon has a grappling advantage to an extent. But I wouldn't say it's overbearingly better, if it even is. And on the feet, I think I also like Bondor as well. Malcolm Gordon's just a little too aggressive and not the most technical. And his striking defense is just really bad. He's really easily to get hit, and his chin in general is just a little questionable. Bets I was looking at. The under 1.5 fight doesn't go the distance. Bondor money line and the under 1.5. Bondor in the first or the second round, or potentially a Gordon decision here. Maybe he does be able to grind out a decision on Denis Bondor. Bondor never fought in the UFC before. This is his debut. We've seen these undefeated guys come in before. He's not undefeated, 16-3. But we've seen these guys with big hype come into the UFC before, and then they just kind of shit the bed. So that's where I was kind of maybe thinking with that. But I'm only going to have one play for this bout here. It's going to be Bondor inside the distance. Bondor having all of his 13 wins coming from a finish, and actually Malcolm Gordon having all 5 of his losses coming from a finish. So I kind of like that trend to continue here, and I think Bondor is really going to use that wrestling pressure on Gordon. Gordon's really not going to be able to breathe. Bondor is going to either get probably a ground and pound victory or a submission on the ground, really controlling Gordon pretty easily. So Bondor inside the distance official play at minus 115 over on DraftKings. It's going to be the first play. Moving on to the next fight, Jason Witt versus Phil Barriault. When I was going over the tape and I first saw Jason Witt, I was really actually kind of high on him because his wrestling, his heart's there. He's really good wrestling. He's pretty his cardio's okay. But I was thinking Witt was probably going to have a good chance to win this one, and he was a decent sized underdog, and I believe actually big money has been coming on Jason Witt. I want to say when I first saw it, he maybe was at like plus 150. Now he's close to almost plus, I want to say 110, maybe even smaller at some books. So you will see some money come on Jason Witt for sure. And I understand it. If he can really effectively use the wrestling like he has in previous fights, then he's going to have some success here. So yeah, but then I'm thinking, then I go back and I watched a tape on Philip Rowe. He does look pretty good on the feet. His wrestling takedown defense is all right, but he's usually pretty good at getting back up to his feet, and his submission defense is really good. He shows that he's not really able to get submitted by other guys. But man, on the feet, he throws volume. He's going to have a huge reach advantage in 10 inches. If he can really hold that to his advantage, Jason Witt is going to have to close the distance with his strikes, which he does. Jason Witt actually comes in wild generally and leaves his chin up and open a lot as he kind of rushes in with an attack, or he's trying to close that distance. Jason Witt always has a reach disadvantage. He has really short arms. All of his UFC fights have been a reach disadvantage for him, but this is going to be the biggest one by far. And Jason Witt, the chin is super questionable. He's gotten knocked out twice in under 30 seconds. I just think that reach advantage for Philip Rowe is really going to be a factor here. I think he's going to be able to see those takedowns coming from a mile away. He's going to be able to stuff them in time. Jason Witt is striking isn't technical at all, although he does hold a little bit of power in his hands, but the technicality is just not there. I like Philip Rowe here a lot. I was questioning an inside the distance play here. We've seen Jason Witt get hurt a lot in his fights, obviously knocked out twice in under 30 seconds. His last fight, Barbarina, almost getting finished in the third round. I gave it 10-8 to Barbarina, which it should have been a draw, but that was not the case for two judges. So yeah, was looking at Philip Rowe inside the distance, a Philip Rowe by knockout, potentially a Witt decision. Man, he could grind out and really use his wrestling and get a decision here. Over 1.5, I was thinking maybe, but I'm going to scrap all those. I'm just going to go with a Rowe money line. I mean, it's definitely against the betting trend and the line where it's going. But I trust Philip Rowe here to get it done, and I think he's really going to piece up Jason Witt on the feet. That long reach advantage is going to really play a factor here. So I'm going to throw 1 unit on Rowe money line at minus 128 over on FanDuel. And then I don't know if I put a unit measurement on the last bet, the first bet I made, but that was a unit bet on Bondor inside the distance, minus 115 on DraftKings. Just to clear that up in case I didn't say it, because I can't remember. All right, moving on to the next fight, Danilo Marquez versus Jailton Almeida. Yeah, man, I think this one's pretty easy to tell kind of what's happened, and I really do agree with the line and where it's at. I don't think it's outrageous. Danilo Marquez, he does have a really good high-level BJJ, but he doesn't have anything else. His striking isn't really that good. His striking's terrible. We'll put it at that. His wrestling is okay. That's what he uses to get people down, to use his jiu-jitsu to his, to get his jiu-jitsu working. And that's about it. Also, he has a bad cardio problem. He tends to gas in the second and gas heavy in the third round, especially when a high pressure, high pace is put on him. Jailton Almeida, this dude likes to say he's got the Khabib style, so there you go. He's got the pressure, he's got the wrestling, he's got the ground and pound, he's got the submission skills. I don't know if he's going to be able to submit Danilo Marquez. That's why I kind of almost favor a knockout for him, like a ground and pound knockout when Danilo is just kind of gassed. He could get a submission victory when Danilo's gassed in the later rounds as well. But Yeah, I definitely love Almeida inside the distance. Like I said, I favor Almeida knockout. That's at plus 300 um, on DraftKings. I actually like an over 1.5 play here too. Just because Danilo Marquez is, I'm expecting Jailton Almeida to use his wrestling early and be successful with it. But Danilo Marquez isn't going to gas out right away, and he does have high level BJJ, so I would think his defense is very good as well. So I think he's going to be able to defend any kind of submissions that Almeida throws up on him, and being able to fade around and then just only another 2 minutes 30 seconds. I think he may be able to do it. I'm not totally confident, but I definitely favor the over rather than the under here. Almeida money line over 1.5, little combo there, or the under 1.5. I don't know why I wrote both of those in my notes. But anyway, yeah, the only play I'm going to make here, I'm actually going to do a 2-unit play because I like this so much. Almeida inside the distance at minus 165 over on DraftKings. That's an official play. So moving up the card, Alexis Davis versus Julija Stoliarenko. I'm not really going to go into this one. This is just a pass for me. I don't really like this fight and any of the bets that I saw. If I did have to make a bet, it's a dog or pass for me. So I would go with Stoliarenko. But again, I don't really feel too comfortable laying any kind of coin on Alexis Davis, nor do I have any confidence in Stoliarenko to get the win from a betting perspective. So this one's a pass. Moving up the card, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Chidi Njokuani. This one was tough. I do really like Chidi to win this one, but Marc-Andre Barriault, man, this guy's tough. He's never been finished. Chidi is known for his power and getting those knockouts. But I don't know if that's going to be able to happen. Barriault definitely has the cardio advantage, but Chidi's cardio also isn't bad. Barriault's going to have that pressure in his face kind of thing. So I was looking at Chidi money lines at even plus 100. I believe it opened at around like plus 140. So it has, obviously, the books have come down. At plus 140, I think that's good value, but close to even money, I think that's exactly where this fight is. This is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Chidi Njokuani decision plus 340 on FanDuel. That's not bad, actually, with Barriault never being able to be finished and, maybe Chidi winning 2 of those 3 rounds for sure. Probably the earlier ones if he's going to win them. But, the play I like the best here and the play that's going to be an official play, I'm going to throw 1 unit on fight goes the distance at minus 122 on FanDuel. I don't think Barriault is going to be able to finish Njokuani. I mean, he's been finished before, Njokuani, but it's all been he had a run in Bellator, and those fights have that he was finished in Bellator came from some pretty top level opponents in Bellator. They're all ranked opponents. So, Barriault could get the finish, but I don't know if he will, or he'll have that level like those top ranked Bellator guys will be able to do. Also on the other side, Barriault never been finished. He's fought some pretty tough guys in the UFC and not been finished in Andrew Sanchez, I believe Da Un Jung as well. So I trust both these guys to not get knocked out or submitted, and I like fight goes the distance. Moving on, we got Hakeem, Dawodu, and Mike Trizano. So this one also a close one, but I do favor Hakeem Dawodu. I just think his striking is really good, and I just think it's better than Mike Trizano's. And I think this one's going to play off. Both these guys like to strike. That's their main kind of point of authority. And I think it's going to stay on the feet. even if Trizano wants to try to get this to the ground, Hakeem does have a really good takedown defense. I believe he'll be able to stuff him. Or if he does get a quick takedown and dumps him down, I think Hakeem, he's calm, he's composed, he's able to get back up to his feet quickly. So this one's mainly, I think, going to play out on the feet. Hakeem definitely has that strong advantage, I believe. He throws more output. He throws more damaging shots. Actually, both these guys have pretty good striking defense for each of them. But, I think Hakeem's defense is better. I think he also throws more volume, again, more damaging. Repeating myself here. But yeah, I looked at a Dawodu decision plus 110 and also a Dawodu knockout or TKO. I mean, Mike Trizano, the guys he's faced aren't really hard hitters, hard strikers. They're all kind of decision guys that he's grinded out to a win. So I'm not convinced that Trizano has the chin of, that's completely made of iron. But, it is good. He's taken shots before. But, Hakeem Dawodu, he's going to be definitely the hardest striking opponent that he's ever faced. So with that being said, I'm kind of split on those. So instead of going with one of those, I'm actually going to do a 1-unit official play on a Dawodu money line and over 1.5, minus 135 on DraftKings. This way, it kind of like saves me a little bit. I think Dawodu's going to win. And I think if he does get the finish, I don't think it'll come early. I think it'll come later. So I think Trizano will stay in there, will survive for a little bit. And if he is going to get finished, going to be in the later rounds, but it also could go to decision. So, with my skepticism there about either a knockout or a decision, like I said, the money line and the over 1.5, I just think that's much more favorable. Moving up the card, we got Miles Johns and John Castaneda. Kind of a similar aspect. Both these guys are pretty good at striking, but I definitely give the edge to Miles Johns. I'm not going to go too much into it because I think this is like almost a repeat fight back-to-back of kind of what's going on here. So, some bets that I liked on this one, John's money line over 1.5, similar. Fight goes the distance, potentially having Castaneda get a win here. But what I'm really going to go with, I'm going to do an official 1-unit play on a John's decision plus 135 on FanDuel. I think John's striking is just much better here. John Castaneda, he's tough, he's durable. I believe he's only ever been finished once in his career, and I think it was early. So let's do a quick check. Yeah, he's never been finished in his career besides super early. So even some of the tough guys he's fought in the UFC, they haven't been able to put him away. And I see something similar to that happening with Miles Johns. Although Johns, I believe he's coming off 2 straight knockout victories. Those opponents that he knocked out, they're a little bit chinny on their own. Castaneda has a better chin than both those guys, so I believe Castaneda is going to be able to survive. But I think Johns is definitely going to piece him up here and win at least 2 of 3 rounds. So yeah, official play, 1 unit on Miles Johns by decision, plus 135 over on FanDuel. Next fight, we got Julian Erosa versus Steven Peterson. This one should be fun. I like watching Julian Erosa. He just goes crazy in the octagon, crazy pressure, crazy high pace. Always exciting to watch. Steven Peterson, also kind of the same, I guess. But Julian Erosa is just super fun to watch. So this one I debated about a little bit too because Erosa is a little bit chinny. He does just kind of go wild and get reckless at times, which leaves him open to strikes. But he's only really been put away by some really tough and strong opponents. Blanking off the top of my head, but let's see who we got here. At least recently. Sung Woi Choi Dude's got pretty good power. Julio Arce with a head kick in the third. Devontae Smith. So these guys got some pretty good power to begin with. So I don't say his chin is totally broken. I will still agree that it's questionable for sure. So, Peterson could potentially get a knockout here, which makes me a little nervous, but I just don't think Peterson has the power that the guys that I just named really do have. He doesn't possess that. So, and I like Erosa here. He puts on such a high pace, crazy pace, high pressure, in your face constantly throwing strikes. Looking for submissions too. He's had a couple third-round submissions as of recent. So you're never gonna have a break with this guy. He's gonna put it on you. So I looked at fight doesn't go the distance. It kind of washes out if Peterson is able to kind of clip Erosa and knock him out. Also, a Peterson knockout is plus 950. It's really not that fucking crazy. I mean, plus 950 is crazy value. I'm not going to throw anything on it because I don't think it'll happen. But, if you want to throw like a quarter or a half unit on there and throw a little something a little bigger on Erosa, that'll help wash it out in case that happens. I think that probably is Peterson's only path to victory here is some kind of knockout and be able to clip Erosa somehow. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. So the only play I'm going to make here, I'm going to do an official 1-unit play on Julian Erosa inside the distance. Plus 140 over on DraftKings. I think he's going to finish Peterson. Peterson only finished once in his career. So pretty durable guy. But again, I think this is going to be someone who he hasn't really faced before in terms of the crazy high pace, high pressure. Now, he has been put in those situations before and he's handled it well, but Julian Erosa is just a different level with that pressure and pace. And I think Peterson's going to crack. So I like inside the distance for Erosa. Moving up the card, we got Bryan battling Tresean Gore. The Ultimate Fighter should have been the Ultimate Fighter finale, but Tresean Gore got injured. I lean Bryan battle here, just because Gore, he's got power, but I just don't like his striking other than his power. I mean, he's just so one-dimensional with his punches. He just throws one punch at a time, one kick at a time. He doesn't throw any combinations together. And I just think Bryan battle here is probably going to throw more volume and probably win on the judges' scorecards. I looked at a battle money line. It's not bad. And I believe money's actually coming in on Tresean Gore pretty heavily. I think this was close to a pick'em. If not, maybe Gore was a slight favorite. But now he's ballooned up to minus 160 or something like that. Maybe even higher on some books. But anyway, I like a battle money line, battle decision, fight goes the distance. I like, honestly. I don't see either of these guys kind of getting the finish. They could, but I mean, both these guys don't have that much experience, so it's really hard to tell. A battle knockout or TKO, plus 850 on FanDuel. It's not bad either. I mean, he could potentially clip Gore and get him out of there. And I think he's only had one TKO in his career, but, he is dangerous with that. So I don't see that as a terrible value there. I think it's pretty good value. But overall, this one's going to be a pass for me, actually. I'm not going to take any action on this fight. I just don't want to risk it either way. I don't feel 100% confident on battle in order to put some cash on him. Moving up the card, we got Sam Alvey and Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen coming in on about 5 days' notice. Yeah, this one too, I like Brendan Allen. I think he's better everywhere here. But, it does trouble me that he's coming in on short notice. It also troubles me that he very recently got knocked out by Chris Curtis. That was, I believe that was in December, so about 2 months ago. That's pretty soon to be getting back in there, especially on short notice and not having a full camp. I mean, I'm sure Brendan Allen has been in the gym working hard. Pretty much all these UFC fighters are always constantly ready and getting in shape and in fight ready shape. But when you have a camp, you're there to work on specific things, work on things shown as a weakness for their opponents. So, with that in mind, I do like Allen to win here. I lean a decision. So, lost my place here. I lean a decision. Allen decision plus 220. Fight goes the distance, plus 148. Allen a sub or a decision, minus 155, just in case. Sam Alvey's pretty durable on the feet. He's only been knocked out by a few people. So, maybe getting a sub if he gets him to the ground. But generally, Alvey has pretty good wrestling defense. And again, if not, he's able to get back to his feet quickly. Potentially an Alvey KO at plus 650. Some good value on there. This guy, Brendan Allen, got clipped and knocked out by Chris Curtis about 2 months ago, coming in on short notice. Sam Alvey could potentially catch him and knock him out. So some decent value there, plus 650. So yeah, those were some of the ones I was looking at. But again, this is a pass for me. I like Brendan Allen to win, but short notice, recently knocked out. Those kind of scare me from putting any money on it. Next fight, we've got Shavkat Rakhmonov and Carlston Harris. This one I was really leaning at first towards Rakhmonov, but Carlston Harris is no joke either, man. He's come out and had 2 first-round finishes in his first two UFC fights, so pretty impressive. And Rakhmonov, I believe he has 1 UFC fight. Actually, I think he actually does have 2, and they're definitely all finished. All 14 of his wins have been by finishes. Yeah, so he has two UFC fights as well, and they're both by finish. So, obviously you would think here, inside the distance for either of these guys is probably a good play. Rakhmonov at plus 100. Carlston Harris actually at plus 340. Pretty good value on that, actually. Harris by a knockout is plus 900. Pretty crazy. Carlston Harris throws with intent and throws with power, but his technicality really isn't there, so I get why it's maybe that high, but he does throw power in, and he could have the ability to knock Rakhmonov out here. Maybe potentially even get him with some ground and pound if he's able to work that wrestling in. Fight goes the distance. I also kind of looked at a little bit and thought about, it's at plus 230. And, a lot of times we have these guys who just are finishers, and they go up against another finisher, and they just, for whatever reason, they're either timid about each other, they respect each other's power, so they're more careful about things, or they're just both warriors, and they don't want to get finished themselves. So, Rakhmonov never losing, Carlston Harris only being finished once in his career, I believe. So yeah, I looked at that too. But overall, man, I think this is closer than the odds may seem. I do favor Rakhmonov to win here, and I do like inside the distance at plus money at plus 100, but at just barely plus 100. I think I'm going to pass on this one too. I'm just not sure. Carlston Harris is a good fighter as well. And being Rakhmonov's toughest test to date, he could see some trouble here with Harris. So yeah, that one's a pass. Moving on to the next fight, we got Punahele Soriano and Nick Maximov. So here's your classic striker versus wrestler fight here. Punahele Soriano, big power in his hands, a lot of first-round knockouts. Nick Maximov's some very good wrestling. Punahele Soriano, he does have, I believe, a little bit of a wrestling background as well. But, Nick Maximov is definitely going to have the advantage in the wrestling. Soriano, definitely a huge advantage on the feet because Maximov's striking does not look good at all. So I pondered a Soriano knockout or TKO, plus 125 on FanDuel. Not bad. He could totally starch this dude. Fight goes the distance I looked at too. Punahele Soriano, all of his finishes have been in the first round. He hasn't found a finish outside of that. So it's definitely tough to kind of really trust him outside of that first round. Nick Maximov by decision. You know, if his wrestling really works here and Punaheen Soriano can't get him off him and his takedowns are there and he has good top control and good top pressure, is able to hold Soriano down for a majority of the fight, tire him out, tire out those arms, we could see Maximov getting a decision win here. I really like that one. Or I also like a Soriano knockout in the first round, plus 280, I believe, over on FanDuel. So that's pretty good value as well. What I'm actually going to go with is I haven't seen much of Soriano's wrestling, so I don't know if I trust that. So I'm actually going to throw a half unit on a Maximov decision. I'm not like super confident in it, but I will throw a half unit on that at plus 380. I think it's good value. And I think Maximov, his, path to victory in the wrestling department could prevail here. As long as he avoids those big shots in the first, I think he can do it. And that's what I'm going to go with. And then we got the main event, Jack Hermansson versus Sean Strickland. Not too many bets I was looking at here. Jack Hermansson may be having a wrestling advantage and a grappling advantage, but Sean Strickland way, way, way more powerful and technical on the feet. Sean Strickland is going to walk Hermansson down. If Hermansson, his wrestling isn't going to work, I see Sean Strickland getting a finish here. It's actually going to be my last official play. 1 unit on Strickland by KO or TKO, plus 225. It's either on FanDuel or DraftKings. I'm not sure which one. I also pondered the under 3.5, plus 120, but I'm not totally sold on that. I'd rather just have the KO for all 5 rounds. I think Hermansson's stand-up isn't really good at all. His last fight, or not his last fight, but he fought Marvin Vettori. He doesn't have really much power in his hands at all, and he almost got dropped and finished by Marvin Vettori. So that doesn't look good. And he's been finished by a couple other guys in his career as well. Thiago Santos, I believe, and forget the other guy. But anyway, he has a couple knockout losses on his resume. And on top of that, he's been knocked down by a couple other opponents who don't have the best power, in my opinion. Sean Strickland's going to constantly walk this guy down, constantly be throwing punches at him. I think his wrestling defense is good enough to hold Jack Hermansson from getting those takedowns. And I think he's just going to piece him up on the feet and just kind of destroy him. Strickland, KO, TKO, plus 225, 1 unit. That's going to be my final play. All right, guys. So if you guys like this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. In the comments below, let me know what kind of bets that you got going on for this card. I'd love to hear them. So I had my 9 bets for a total of 9.5 units. We'll see how they go this Saturday. Hopefully I'm positive for once. Also, I'll have another video coming out soon, parlay plays video, where I have a couple different variation of parlays to match these best bets here. That's going to be it. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.